shooters out there and Three Circles passengers and members. Hope you're having a nice day. This is Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone Express. And what's been happening with the comments that people, the shooters out there, are very upset at the high cost of ammo. Although if you shoot 9mm and 223, it's high, but not as high as other calibers. So perhaps the 9mm and the 223 are hopefully calibers that you have and can shoot. But at any rate, the reloaders out there have been complaining about the lack of primers. And when they can locate them, which isn't very often, the prices on primers is high. Almost up to 10 cents a primer. Well, it's expensive for factory ammo, so that 10 cents a primer is right in line with the high price of ammo from the factories. So if you can find some primers, we're probably going to have to accept 10 cents a primer. Hopefully that this inflation will break at some point, because we're going to be paying over $6 a gallon of gas and 10 cents a primer. But the primers will come back. It's only a matter of time. When they do come back, we need to be able to stock up and enjoy our reloading as best we can. But what's some advice that we can do in the meantime and even into the middle future to keep shooting? Because there's actually been some commenters that said they can't reload and they don't want to pay the high price of factory ammo, so they just stop shooting. They're not shooting. And the new shooters out there who are buying guns, gun sales are really brisk, but without ammo, the new shooters are being discouraged. They can't exercise their shooting without ammo, and some of them want to turn to reloading, but they can't because there are no primers. So my advice is, look at the lowly 22. If you're going to shoot center fire, if you have a 9mm, you can actually find some affordable 9mm ammo that you can shoot. Maybe not as much as we used to, but we'll still be able to shoot. And for rifles, the 223 can still be found, it's acceptably high. But for all of us out there, we can sure enjoy shooting the lowly 22 rimfire. And the beauty of the 22 rimfire is we can keep our shooting skills up, work on our marksmanship, and especially the new shooters out there can really benefit by shooting 22, because they'll learn trigger control, sight picture, and grip, and all the basics that they need to really get into, so that when they can shoot the center fires later on, when they come back, and perhaps the prices are more amenable, that they'll have these skills ingrained. So the 22 at this time, you can still find 22 ammo for around 13 cents a round. That's not bad. When we're paying possibly 10 cents a primer, then shooting a 22 long rifle for just a little bit more than the cost of a primer is not bad at all. So if you can, you should try and stock up on some 22 right now, because it is available. You can find it without too much trouble, even online. And for those of you out there who haven't been ordering ammo online, you should go ahead and do that, because we here in California have been banned from getting ammo online for the last almost 2 years now. So we know the pain of not being able to get ammo online. Those of you out there, if you can still get it online, get it, because it's convenient. You don't need to spend any gas, and you can get your ammo that way. Let's look at some 22 that you might have. And let's start with the guns. This happens to be a 2245 by Ruger, but if you have one of these, they're great guns to shoot for 22. And for the single action fans out there, the nice thing about a 22 single action is that when you go to the range, or you're shooting in the field, plinking, or recreationally shooting, or even hunting, the 22 long rifle out of a single action, you're going to make the shots count. And you're going to not use your ammo supply as fast. If you bring new shooters to the range, give them one of these, and they won't shoot anywhere near as much 22 long rifle as they would with a semi-automatic, like a Ruger Mark II or Mark III or 22-45 like this one. Best to only bring one magazine, and don't bring magazine loaders, because if you do, you'll wind up with them shooting ammo faster and not learning as much. By the way, all these guns have been cleared. They're completely unloaded. Now when it comes to rifles, the beauty of the rifles is that the shooters can enjoy shooting and not have to expend a lot of ammo, especially if you have, say, a lever action rifle instead of those semi-autos that we used to squirt ammo down range and use up a brick of 500 every time you go to the range. We'd use these speed loaders and load up the magazines. Well, now in California you can't have more than a 10 round magazine anyway. But with a lever action, you can go ahead and shoot on a much slower basis and enjoy the shooting and learn a lot more about trigger squeeze and not jerking the trigger to shoot the shot, because that's the challenge with a 22 rifle. The idea is that because the recoil is so nil, you go ahead and shoot the shot by jerking the trigger, and when the sights are on, you just jerk the trigger. Well, we need to learn that it's not a jerk, but rather a smooth press straight back to the rear, and hold the sights on target and just let that trigger break without trying to make it break. And that's a big thing that we can learn shooting our 22 rifles. So this happens to be a Winchester 94-22. If you're one of the lucky shooters that has one of these, it's one of the finest 22 lever action rifles that can be had. And the fit and finish is just superb on a Winchester model 94-22. And yes, there's a scope on there. You don't have to have one, but new shooters appreciate it because they can see the target with much more definition. And older shooters with the eyes not quite as good can enjoy shooting at 25 and 50 yards offhand, whereas they wouldn't be able to with iron sights as much. So if you gotta have iron sights, the apertures at least keep you in the game a little longer, but the optics are the way to go if that is your bend. Now, if you don't, again, you don't have to have an optic, and I know a lot of you don't have them on lever guns. This one, of course, is the classic Marlin, Model 39, and this happens to be the golden 39A, and you can recognize that right away because it has a pistol grip stock instead of the straight stock that you'll find on the carbine versions like the Model 39 Mountie. But this one from Marlin is one of the most sought after 22s lever actions that you could have. Very desirable. They don't make them anymore. And the craftsmanship and the workmanship, the hand fitting involved in making this rifle now make it prohibitive for the factories to produce this rifle. They did it in the past, but it's going to be very hard for this to be made in the future because, again, all the hand fitting involved. So if you can find one on the used market, that might be a good thing to snap up, but you're going to have to pay a premium price for it because most owners aren't going to let go of this, and if they do, they realize that the value is there. But the Model 39 is a great 22 to go to the range. Just remember that Annie Oakley used to shoot at 25 yards and split playing guards most of the time with the first shot. And if not, the second shot would do it. She would split playing cards within 2 shots at 25 yards with a Marlin Model 39 or the equivalent back in that day. So this is a great rifle to go to the range with because, again, you're not going to shoot a whole boatload of ammo, and you're going to enjoy the shooting more with this rifle. Well, if you have a bolt action rifle, then that's fine too for shooting at the range. In fact, any 22 that's made from a quality company will be a great 22 to take. These 22 rifles, the Winchester 94-22. Look at that wood to metal fit. And that finish on the metal. Very fine. And that checkering is as good as it looks. Has a nice feel to the checkering. It's actual checkering. The grain of the wood is beautiful. And as for the Model 39, the grain is a little bit open, but the finish is nice. The wood to metal fit again is very fine, befitting a Marlin Model 39A. This, of course, is a Ruger Single 6, and it is one of the best single action 22s you're going to see. This one's a convertible, of course, and it comes with a 22 Magnum cylinder, but the 22 long rifle is the one you want to shoot most often. And of course, the 22-45, a lot of you have these out there. They're very common and very fine pistols. Great for shooting at the range. Not as much in the hunting field. For the hunting field, a single action like this one is actually more desirable because they're inherently safer. When it comes to 22 ammo, the best I could recommend to you is that all the various brands and types of 22 ammo are useful. You might find that one brand may not feed in a semi-auto as well, but they'll shoot just fine in a revolver or in a rifle. And I remember back in the 1970s, the early 1970s, and all through that decade when we did a lot of squirrel hunting, that's ground squirrel hunting, in the dry creek beds, the 22 long rifle was the king in the dry creek bed. And I remember asking Doug and Dwayne what kind of 22 ammo I should bring along. And their answer was always very quick. They would say, just buy the cheapest 22 you can find. And we bought a box of 50 22s in those days for $1. Or even less, like 79 cents. So any 22 is useful. But what you see here is what's called a 22 colibri. What they are is a 22 long with a lower powder charge, so it's almost silent. We like the 22 colibri. And if you can find some of that, by all means, have some on hand. But then we see 22 shorts. These happen to be CCI mini caps. It's a 22 short with just a very small powder charge. And that's a real neat round also, if you have some of that. I don't think they make this anymore. But then we can find your good 22 shorts like made from Remington. Or the 22 shorts from Aguila, like this one here, 22 shorts, and they're great. In fact, most of the lever guns that you'll see can shoot 22 shorts and shoot them well. So then you find all the various types of 22 long rifle ammo made by Aguila, and that's available right now as we speak. And the prices are very reasonable, like around that 13-cent range for one round. And if you can find 22 longs, I was fortunate enough to get a hold of some 22 longs recently. Got them. There's 22 Blazer, Federal American Eagle, and then we have the Elys. And the Elys actually are out there. You can get them, got to pay a little more, but the 22, the accuracy of the Ely gives you a little bit upgrade in accuracy. Winchester Super X. You'll hear some bad things about Winchester Super X, but you'll find just as many people that really like the Winchester rimfire ammo. It's fine. I wouldn't turn it down if you found some at a good price. The imports like PMC makes great target and the high velocity sidewinders. Here's an old box of Winchester Wildcat. I don't think you find those anymore. Remington comes in with subsonics and then the golden bullets, and those are fine. And then you might find some of these old tins of hyper velocities from Federal or some other companies that use these plastic tins back in the past. Now, it's commonly accepted that our .22 rifles and pistols seem to like a certain brand of .22 more than others. Now, some of you might comment that Remington Thunderbolts is not represented here, and that's a shame, because I know a lot of you like the Remington Thunderbolts. I just happen not to have any at this time to show you along with all the rest of this .22 ammo. Well, let's not forget the huge company in rimfire, that's CCI. And the CCI mini mags is an industry standard. Most of us can't bear shooting our mini mags because they're so good. If I need to make a shot in the hunting field, the mini mag is what you want to use. And they even make a mini mag plus P, but that's very hard to find at this time. But then CCI has more economical lines, such as their Blazer and the aforementioned .22 longs and the CCI shorts. The CCI company is perhaps the biggest one in rimfire ammunition. And while we're talking about the ammo from our friends south of the border from Aguila, let's not forget from the Pacific Rim, PMC makes a full line of .22 rimfire ammo for our use. And their Sidewinder high velocity and their Target .22, this is pretty accurate stuff. This rivals the CCI standard velocities actually, which is another great target ammo, along with the aforementioned Elys. But when we're talking about foreign ammo, don't forget that we can get ammo from the Philippines, like this precision ammo. When I bought this, was very inexpensive, so don't turn down some nice Philippine ammo or other ammo from other countries. Back in our squirrel hunting days, we used to buy ammo from Canada under the Monarch brand, I believe. So that was cheap back in those days. So we shot some fair amount of Monarch ammo. How appropriate. The Monarch of Canada. Yes, remember the days when we used to fill our magazines with speed loaders like this one, and even our 9mm with speed loaders like this one? Well, with the current situation with ammo prices and primer availability, we're not going to be using these for a while. But however, with our .22 long rifles, we can use our pistols and rifles and still stay in the game, and at 13 cents a round or 14 cents a round, still very affordable for most of us out there to spend that kind of money and shoot. Fortune Cookie 45 LC signing off. See you in the next video. Bye for now.